We're just waiting a few minutes for the mayor to come. If not, we'll start, and then maybe he'll catch up. All right.
Oh, he's looking for parking.
Oh, okay. There might be parking.
I was gonna say if he's gonna park, he's gonna be probably walking a few blocks.
Spot just for the mayor.
Maybe I should go park his car and then I can help him out that
From
way.
the police.
Give him a ticket and just park somewhere.
That's so valid that way, right?
You can park at the transfer station.
I think I should stop.
Hey guys. Acércate. Juan, our board member. Come on over here.
Hey, if you insist.
Yes, por favor. All right, so we're gonna get going because I know we said we'd start around 3:15. Thank you so much for coming today. My name is Karen Menendez-Collar. I am the Executive Director of Centro Hispano of Dane County. Today is a tough day for us. In my mind, it's a shameful day. It's a shameful day for our country when we have let down 800,000 DACA recipients, 8,000 in Wisconsin, all who remain in limbo, who all remain waiting for what's next. For our community, it has become the perennial waiting game as elected leaders think, wait, and defer yet again on making an equitable decision regarding immigration. Since fall 2016, the waiting has become unbearable, full of anxiety, fear, and stress. Here at Centro, we vow to take action and continue to always speak out, support, defend, and protect our families so that they may never lose hope. And we are supported by so many in our community. I hope you see so many of them here today. People standing here, attorneys and nonprofit leaders who form part of the Immigration Assistance Collaborative of Dane County, willing and able to provide pro bono deportation defense and immigration support as needed. Law enforcement representatives who believe in building trust, not isolating our growing immigrant neighbors, and congregations, community leaders, and citizens who will not back down from speaking out for what is right. We believe in equitable policy change that will not pit our dreamers against their families, that will not build walls, but instead bolster the dreams that we love so much. For our dreamers, know that deadlines such as today are forever tattooed in my heart because they represent yet another symbol of lack of proper advocacy and support by those in power for the Latino community, which I love. Never fear that Centro will always be here to support you and assist in anything we can. And never doubt that we'll engage in action as needed. And we invite the greater Dane County community to stay connected and join us in our efforts. Now I want to invite Mayor Soglin to say a few words.
Thank you, Karen. A couple of things I'd like to share with you. First, today the Marquette poll came out, and it covered several topics. One of which was how do the people of the state of Wisconsin feel about the status of people who are immigrants to this country. And if you look at that poll, the vast majority of the people of the state of Wisconsin want a path to citizenship. They reject the tragic and sometimes angry position of those who have failed to recognize the vast contributions and the humanitarian importance of resolving this matter. I mention it because over the last several months, working with Dreamers, I've had an opportunity to meet with the staff of the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, on this very issue. And I hope that he heeds and recognizes that he serves the people of this state and the people of his district, and they want this matter resolved. He is obligated first to them and not to the extremists in his own party who have held this matter up in the House of Representatives. So, despite the actions of the President of the United States, I think we ought to recognize today that the hard work of all the people in this room, the people who have been working so diligently throughout the state of Wisconsin, is recognized. That hard work is recognized, and the people of this state want a humanitarian and fair resolution, a path to citizenship for everyone. Second thing that I want to share with you is the experience that I've had over the last several months that I referred to before, the experience I've had working with dreamers, working with these hard, dedicated young men and women, working with these hard-working, dedicated young men and women who have contributed so much to our community, so much to their families. There's resentment in this country towards those who are thought to be takers. Well, we won't go into that issue right now, but we will go into the false notion that the immigrants here in the state of Wisconsin, in this country, are takers. It's a lie. It's simply not true. The contributions in terms of work, in terms of dedication to community, support of family, is unparalleled. We've made the point over and over again, recognizing that half of the dairy employees on Wisconsin farms are immigrants. Now, when ICE does a raid and they close down a factory, a week or two later, that factory can reopen. But the health and the lives of those dairy cows, the economy of this state, the future of agriculture, is in the hands, literally, of these 50% of the dairy workers who are immigrants here in the state of Wisconsin. And it's about time the leadership of this state acknowledged that and recognized it. The last thing I'd like to share with you is this past week I had an opportunity to meet with those who do legal services for immigrants here in Madison and the Dane County area. Across the United States, if an immigrant is taken by ICE and sent through the judicial proceedings, they have less than a 5% chance of avoiding deportation. But if they do have legal representation, that can be increased to upwards of close to 50% chance of not being deported. And so one of the commitments we will have to make in this next year here in Madison and Dane County is a renewed effort to commit to the legal protections, to the proceedings which are going to hopefully hold together the families that are part of our community. And for that, Karen mentioned that we have here some of the people who do that kind of work. Just a big thank you to everyone who is engaged in this fight to protect the rights and the freedom of people who are so important to our community. So, thank you.
Yes, Fabiola is our first Dane County Immigration Affairs Specialist ever, so I wanted her to say a few words.
Just for you. Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. I am Fabiola Hamdan with the Dane County Department of Human Services, also representing the county, and I'm here to tell our dreamers, our DACA recipients, our immigrant community that we stand with you. It is, as Karen mentioned, a very sad day. Even Mother Nature is not cooperating. This is how we feel. And I just wanted to share something with you. Yesterday, I dropped my son. He's a freshman in college. As we are driving, we're talking about his classes and some of the obstacles and the difficulties he has in his classes, and drop him off as I was coming back. It really couldn't help to think, okay, here I am driving. You know, he's born, and he's a Madisonian. He was born here, and just worried about so many different things that parents we worried about our kids. And now, can you imagine if he was a DACA recipient and I was the mother without documentation? That could have been a really hard drive. It is incredible how resilient our community, our immigrant community, our undocumented community is. Whenever I see young people here, it just inspires me, because they are the future. They are the people that really need to give, we have to give them a chance to succeed in life. I cannot imagine how day by day DACA recipients go to school, worried about their homework, their exams, studying, and at the same time worried about their immigration status. Many of them work. You understand that they cannot get financial aid or any type of governmental assistance. There are no words to explain, and I know everybody in this room understands that. And I plead to you to please help us in this fight. Help us make people understand that this broken immigration system is really inhumane, and it's broken, it's breaking our families, it's making very difficult for our young DACAs to succeed. With that, thank you very much, and buenas tardes otra vez.
We're going to hear from some of our young people, young leaders, but before that, I just wanted to bring Chief Koval to say just a brief remarks.
Karen, you said brief at least 4 times to me already. As a representative of government, we took an oath to protect and to serve. And that oath means access and inclusivity to everyone that's in our community. There are no barriers, there are no artificial gates that suggest that anyone here is less than worthy. And to suggest that now that we're creating these tiered systems within our midst is very disheartening to those of us. We had an incident just last week where an officer came into contact on a traffic crash with someone who was undocumented, and ICE was notified, and I literally had to talk to the officers afterwards, one of whom was crying because they were so upset that inadvertently we may have somehow contributed to this. And as it turned out, we were able to reconcile things, and that's a blessing. But you, our future, I hope that you will be forgiving to my legacy, my generation, for not having the wisdom to understand that we're only going to be more vibrant by including everyone's contributions to the vibrancy of Madison. So thank you for your patience and tolerance of us.
Alondra.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alondra, and I'm a student here. I'm a documented student. I go to Madison College, and I just have a few words to say in regards to this. I remember pledging allegiance to the flag ever since kindergarten. To me, at first, I had no idea what I was saying. I learned it, first of all, in the completely different language. But then when I took more classes in my education, it kind of made more sense of what it really means. And pledging allegiance to our flag, literally, I hope today you consider that it means our flag, everyone here within the U.S. When we talk about people who migrated, we talk about, when we're young, about the colonizers and all these other things that now we even celebrate during Columbus Day. That's still a mislead and whatnot, but I hope that I want to go into education to correct that, because it's not the way our textbooks say it. They leave things out that so many of our youth don't even know of their own culture or within their own language yet today. Friday, June 15, 2012, that was the day when my life turned around. It was the day after working a long night shift. My father took the time to call me from his own job, and he took the time to tell me that I will be able to drive with no fear, apply for a job with a better, decent pay, and have basic civil rights. And at first I had no idea what that meant, because I never lived with the fear of what it means if that's taken away tomorrow. You know, and I'm sorry, it's so hard to process all this. And he was so excited for me because he knows that he works at a job, again, during the week where he has to be cautious of not being stopped by an officer because Scott Walker stopped giving out driver's license. And every time he gets stopped, he has that fear that he might get pulled over by ICE one day and be taken away. He has helped me go through college in terms of paying for it. Again, you just heard it. We don't qualify for FAFSA. How am I supposed to continue with this education if I can't even pay for it? I have to work to get that filled in. And sure, I go to Madison College, where it's true that we save a lot of money. But after that, going to a four-year, who's going to pay for that? I had to drop out of Edgewood because I couldn't afford it. Because things weren't aligning us to what DACA meant for the administration there. And if that was Edgewood, imagine other schools that are going through the same process. Madison does great in finding all these resources. But I still face students today who don't know where to go, who don't know who to go for, to counselors, and find someone that looks like them, that has gone through the same experience as them. And that's why I want to continue on with my education. Is that a crime? To me, a crime are all those crimes that we've seen with people holding guns and going to the schools. I don't have... That to me is a crime. And where still the psychology department has to be able to look at all these things, if it's still so-called say it was due because of a mental illness. Doesn't that mean that we have to work harder then to connect with our students? And here's someone who wants to do that, right? I want to come here one day, not shredding in tears, but for good news to deliver. All these people behind me, I know that since day one, they've been with me. I've been able to connect with them more on a personal level. And for that, I thank them. And I see you all here today, and it makes me so happy. But if our governor can't open his eyes, how long must we wait? Point out the timeline of our history within America. Name a culture that's never gone through a struggle. Just name one. And that's what I'm trying to let you all know. The Irish, French, German, African American, Native American, and people that look like me today are still going through the struggle. Today, it's more clear of what it means to have DACA and what it will mean if that's taken away. And if you want to take it away, hear me, Scott Walker. Hear me tell me, Baldwin, John Bronson, and everyone else in Congress, take it away. But you better bring something better and best for everyone here. We want a clear Dream Act. No more shenanigans, none of that, we're only gonna look at these benefits, but only halfway. We're done. We're not gonna wait 10 years. We're not gonna wait 100 years. We're gonna keep working day and night, because it's 800,000 DACA recipients, plus those that are undocumented, such as my parents, who still have a fear to apply for a better job. We don't receive 401k benefits, if that hasn't been more clear to you yet. We pay taxes. We apply for jobs that no one else wants to consider. And yet they call us criminals and rapists and everything else that the government has said. Right? We have been able to also, I want to highlight, just with these last thoughts, that we've been able to buy cars. Trust me, I love my car a lot. And without that, I've been able to come here instead of asking people for rides. It's been a struggle. It's embarrassing sometimes too. But I'm actually happy that I can help my dad pay for my own car that I drive every single day to and back from work and from school. I've been able to volunteer, serve back to my community. I've been able and privileged to have different hats and serve as president of a school here at Centro, working with my colleagues. It has really been a great honor. But again, that's only if I have DACA. And if I don't by tomorrow, and this is just me, imagine now the rest who are going through this struggle again. We've been able to give a huge boost to the economy. Take that number, how would that look like? And again, we're the biggest population within the US. I just feel like people are not considering that enough, right? And it's been to a really great fact that I haven't been able to focus in school. At first I said that with an excuse because of this whole DACA thing. But now it's getting closer, and each time it gets closer, I'm literally not putting my full 100 to my school. And this is my last semester. How am I supposed to get a higher than a 3.0 that most scholarships ask for? Do they know of the struggle? I don't think so, because they haven't gone through the struggle. Right? So then you tell me, what's next for us? For people that look like us? We're just asking for a chance. That's all we're asking for. A chance. Thank you.
Hola, buenas tardes, good evening. My name is Rafael Martinez Salas. I am one of the co-facilitators for Generación here, which is a Latinx youth group here in Centro Hispano. I just want to point out also just how amazing Alondra was, and just want to say that I'm really happy for her to be one of my fellow co-workers, and more than anything, family to me, since she's we've known each other for so long, and it's just amazing to see how we've both been able to kind of grow up together in a sense. One thing I do want to point out, however, is being a DACA recipient, not everything has been easy for me. I came from a small town in Oaxaca, Mexico, with a population of less than 4,000 people. And I came here not necessarily because I wanted to, but it was more of anything because my parents were doing it out of financial necessity. I came here when I was around 2 years old, barely, couldn't even remember coming into this country. And so far I have been able to call this place, Madison, Wisconsin, my home. I've been around here for 18 years, and I'm now a sophomore at UW-Madison, and despite my efforts into pursuing my education, every single instance, from elementary school to where I am right now, and probably until I try to obtain my degree in education, it's going to be a struggle more than anything. When I was a kid, I was really into, like, more than anything, academics, and since I was 8, I had always wanted to go to the University of Wisconsin-Madison. It was my dream school ever since I saw, like, the campus and was able to get a tour of the place. I was able to connect with basketball players at the time that had visited my classroom, and I loved it ever since. I later received more than like a course from College for Kids, and I just grew in love with the campus even more and more, and was willing to do whatever it took to get myself in that position and eventually obtain a degree there. However, as soon as I was able to graduate and was able to be enrolled and accepted into UW-Madison, I had to overcome the fear of the financial stability that I would have to overcome. And more than anything, I would have had to pay the equivalent of, like, well, pretty much $18,000 per semester if I wanted to continue to be a full-time student there, regardless of the fact that I have lived here for like most of my life, and it's pretty much the only home I know. And every single semester I have to come up and try to scrape and be able to maintain my status here. And not only that, but I also have to continually work, not one job, not 2 jobs, but 3 jobs pretty much at the same time, and have to maintain that focus both academically and within my family and within my friends and everything. So to me, it just creates this kind of, stress, and I've talked with a few people, but just the fact that we have to place ourselves and put twice as much effort as an average individual for DACA recipients, and how we don't strive to take anyone's place in our jobs. In fact, the jobs that I have currently were either created by with me and the coworkers that I work with, or for one of my jobs, it was created by someone who had obtained amnesty and was able to create his own business during the Reagan era, and he was able to get amnesty that way. And from there on, he was able to give opportunities to people like me in order to succeed financially. And even then, it's still just troubling for me to see the kind of despicable hate that we get, not just us as young individuals, but as recipients as well. I've seen posts from hateful forums online, and both in real life where people have said to have shot me and to shoot me on the spot, to kill me, to put me in a detention center similar to that of Japanese internment camps in the World War II, or the despicable acts that were happening with American indigenous communities during the Trail of Tears. And more than anything, I hope to not find America in that winding road. And I just want to let know people that we aren't here to change America in a drastic way. We're here to change America in a way that we help one another, we help each other. And from the moment that we come here, we aren't thinking about taking other people's jobs, but to create opportunities for ourselves and for others. I pay my taxes. I don't receive anything from Social Security. I don't receive anything really much besides my tax refund, which I'm only able to do since I'm a student. But other than that, I don't receive really any benefits that I can. So just in that fact, that's not just one of the things that I have to go through, but 800,000 people have to go through, 8,000 here in Wisconsin. And more than anything, I just want to say thank you to everybody for providing the space, and for everybody that continues on with this fight, regardless of the outcome. I feel like more than anything, that with the solidarity that we are able to create, that change is going to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Rafael and Alondra. I just want to say we're never going to get tired of sharing these stories. We're never going to get tired of our youth being able to come up to the mic and feel validated. We're never going to be tired of them being able to speak out and us supporting them along the way. We are committed to doing anything and everything to ensure that their hope is never lost and that their families keep thinking of this American country as their own. And I know my staff and I are fully committed to that. And so I hope everybody who wants to join us does in 2018 and keeps connected for what we need to do moving forward. So thank you so much for coming. And with that, we'll take any questions anybody may have.
Recently, we saw that the mayor of Oakland warned her citizens of possible ICE raids. And I wanted to know if that's something that you would consider doing for our immigrant communities, given that we're in such a dangerous federal political context.
There's no question that I would do the exact same thing that Libby Sheffield did in Oakland. I think if you recall, she first announced that there might be a raid, and that if she had word of it, that she would alert people. And I think what she said is very important, which is that she could not have on her conscience knowledge that a raid was coming and to do nothing. And I think she and I are part of a group of well over 100 mayors who are working on the challenges of immigration. And my guess is that virtually all of them would do the same thing.
All right. Well, thank you so much.